Hey, welcome to my channel. My name's Christy. If you're new here, I live in the Pacific Northwest. I grew up and lived in California, in the Bay Area for my entire life up until last year. And I have a lot of gardening experience in California, but this is my first real full season of gardening in the Pacific Northwest. And to give you an idea of what the differences are, so in California, my average last frost date was about February 28th, and my average first frost date was about November 25th. I was in zone 9B. That was a total of about 269 days of the spring summer growing season. Plus, I was able to grow all year, like broccoli and the cool weather crops through the entire year. So it was nice. Now here where I am in the Pacific Northwest, my average last frost is about May 10th, and my average first frost is about October 21st, which gives me 164 days of growing. And I can do some, cool weather crops on either end of that, but not nearly the amount of freedom that I had when I was in California. And I'm in zone 8A now, which really doesn't mean anything unless you're talking about like fruit trees or other perennials. All that the zone tells you is your lowest average temperature that you get in the winter. Um, so it doesn't tell you when to start planting at all. That's what your frost dates are for. And so for me, it was about May 10th. And right now it is June 17th. So it's been like 2 weeks since my last garden tour. So I'm going to take you outside, show you around, show you what's changed. I don't feel like a lot has changed, but I haven't looked at my video, so maybe more has changed than I think. So let's go outside and check. Okay, we're going to start in the raised bed garden. Um, like I said, I don't really feel like a ton has changed. Our weather hasn't been like, it's been kind of mild, not a lot of rain. Well, definitely, yeah, not a lot of rain, not a lot of sunshine, not a lot of warm temperatures. So things are just kind of taking their time to take off. But let's start at the tomatillos. All right, so last time I showed you the tomatillos, they were quite yellow, and I was worried about maybe they weren't getting enough nitrogen, so I did add some blood meal, which is a lot of nitrogen, and they have greened up since then. Even the leaves that were already like fully yellow are starting to regreen. I didn't even know that was possible. I thought they would just kind of fall off and only the new growth would be green, but it's all greening up, so that's looking much better. These, of course, are the random potatoes. Over here, I had planted a variety of squash seeds in 4 different spots. And initially, of the 4, only 1 came up. And I hadn't marked it. It was this one, so I don't even know what it is. It's either zucchini, yellow straight neck squash, or yellow patty pan squash. I'm not going to know until it starts making fruit. So for the empty spots, I just went to the nursery and I got, here's a yellow straight neck, and I got a zucchini, and I picked up a random watermelon, put it in that spot. And then each plant actually had multiples in the 4 pot. It was like a 4-inch pot, and there were multiple plants. So I divided them, and I put like an extra squash over here, and then I have a watermelon around the corner hanging out with my tomatoes. And on the other side here, we have green beans, which have come all the way up, but they are looking yellow too, just like the tomatillos were. So I guess I did add a little fertilizer the other day. Can't really tell if it's made a difference yet. We'll just wait and see on these. And here we have my broccoli bed, which I've actually harvested some broccoli. I'm going to take the cover off so you can actually see what's going on. And maybe I'll harvest some cilantro while I'm at it. In addition to the netting I've had on here the whole time, I also added some shade cloth. Earlier this week, this is the south side of the bed, I would have added it a lot sooner than that, but the company I ordered from took a month to send it, which was really frustrating. I guess I'm spoiled and used to Amazon sending things within a day or 2. So I put the shade cloth on because I have all cool weather crops in there, broccoli, carrots, and cilantro. And I'm trying to at least get as much broccoli out of it as I can before things start going to seed. We have some cool weather coming up today, and then 3 days of rain, also cool weather, and then it's going to warm up. So maybe I'll get more broccoli. Okay, This is actually the first time I've taken the cover completely off like that. The netting is great because it keeps the bugs out, but it also is even easier to kind of neglect what's going on. Like I have some really big weeds in here that, you know, it was a pain to get the cover off, so I just kind of left them. I have, yeah, lots of weeds growing among the cilantro. I definitely need to harvest some cilantro like now. My plan was to freeze dry the cilantro, but my freeze dryer has been in the shop for back at the factory for more than a month. I think they're going to finish it up soon and I'll have it back. But I can freeze the cilantro. You can freeze the cilantro in the freezer in the meantime and then freeze dry it when I get my freeze dryer back. So broccoli, you can see I've harvested the main heads off of a couple of these and it's starting to get some little side shoots. Another one. I took the main head off. Another one. This one I will probably going to pick this one today. Although it's still pretty tight. And as long as it's tight like this, I like to give it, you know, as much time as it can to get bigger before I pick it, but not so long that it starts loosening up and going to seed. Here's another one. This one's definitely really tight, so I'm definitely not going to pick this one yet. And this one I already got the main head and has some side shoots. So as you can see with the bug netting, there's not a single hole in any of my broccoli leaves, which also means there should not be any aphids or worms hiding inside my broccoli. Oh, this one's loose. See, this is where you don't want to let it get this loose before you harvest. You still can, and it's still going to be good, but this is definitely about to flower. So you want to pick it while it's still tight before it gets to this stage. Definitely don't wait any longer than this. And for my carrots, I have, the other day we had chef salad for dinner and I did pick 2 carrots. They were pretty small. Not, oh my gosh, is this a berry vine? What is this? What the heck? I don't know what that is. Lots of weeds here. See, with the cover on, it's easy to not know what's going on inside. But anyway, so the carrots, I don't know. I'll just keep checking them and dig around the soil. See, oh, this is 2 together. I thought I did a better job thinning than that, but tomorrow I'm going to make one of my husband's favorite meals for dinner for Father's Day. I'm going to make these beefy noodles, and it uses carrots, so I'm definitely going to harvest some of these. Even if they're small, they'll still taste good. All right, since I got it all uncovered, I'm going to go ahead and harvest some of the cilantro so I can get it in my freezer and ready to freeze dry. Probably going to get some weeds mixed in with my cilantro. Yep, definitely getting weeds. All right, there's still tons in there, but I'm just going to call it good for now. I love cilantro. One of the most tragic things about it is that, I mean, you want to make fresh salsa from your garden, you know, with your own tomatoes, your peppers, your onions, but that stuff isn't, at least the tomatoes and peppers aren't ready until the end of summer when it's really warm, and cilantro does not grow well. It'll just go to seed when it's too hot. So unless you're growing it indoors, there's not really a good way to have it fresh and ready to go by the time your tomatoes and peppers are ready. So that's why I'm glad to have a freeze dryer, because if you just dry this like in a dehydrator or something, it doesn't keep its fresh taste. But if you dry it in a freeze dryer, it really does keep that fresh taste. So my plan is to kind of grow this whenever I can in the off season and freeze dry as much as I possibly can to get into jars for future dinners and salsa and guacamole and whatever, because I love Mexican food. All right, I gotta get this covered up before the moths figure out that I've had broccoli hiding in here this whole time. All right, before I close it up, I did pick the side shoots from those broccoli heads that I'd already harvested from. I'm gonna leave this big one until tomorrow, and I'll probably cook it up to go with our dinner. And then I forgot to mention this whole back row. I have another row of broccoli on the other side, and that's a different variety and has not formed any heads at all yet. So we'll see what happens with those. The back row is actually my favorite variety. It's called Marathon, and I think this one in the front is called Green Comet. So I'm excited to get the Marathon broccoli next. So this shade cloth I ordered, if I remember correctly, was it's 50% shade blocking, meaning it blocks 50% of the light. So besides just using it to extend my season with the broccoli, I'm also going to put it over the pepper bed later in the season, because although peppers like heat, pepper fruits can get really easily sunburned if there's too much direct sunlight on them. So that should help prevent some of that. And speaking of peppers, they haven't done a whole lot. Again, we haven't had terribly warm temperatures, and mainly that's it. Once it really warms up, I'm sure they're going to take off. And those are zinnias, 2 rows of zinnias down the middle. I kind of wish I'd put the greenhouse plastic, I'd put it on there for, I don't know, a week earlier in the spring, but I kind of wish I'd left it on because these might have, gotten a little bit of a head start. That's something to remember for last year, or for next year. And then at the very end of the season, hopefully, I'll be able to use the greenhouse plastic to extend the season into the fall a little bit. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, using greenhouse cloth is completely a new concept for me. It wasn't something I would have had to use in California at all. Tomatoes are looking good, getting bigger. I have, let's see, I do have some baby tomatoes on several plants. This is the Rosella cherry tomato. This is my favorite canning and salsa tomato, Roma Grande, which is an indeterminate Roma variety, meaning it won't put out its tomatoes all at once. It will continue growing and producing tomatoes throughout the season. And I like that because I like to be able to just come out and pick fresh tomatoes to make salsa whenever I want to, and not necessarily just can them up all at once. But I will do some canning of them for sure. And then here is the random extra watermelon plant I just tucked in a corner. We have some cosmos. I did a bunch of weeding. There's a lot of grass coming up from the straw mulch I used. And also planted little marigolds in between each tomato in both of my tomato beds. And here's the other tomato bed. These ones aren't quite as, look at that. Those ones are bigger. That bed, the tomatoes are looking bigger and a little bushier. And this bed, they just aren't as big, even though some of them are the same varieties. So I kind of wonder, does this greenhouse shade them out, even though it's a greenhouse? I don't know. I planted these 2 beds on the same day with the same plant starts that I had started from seed. So I'm not sure. We'll just have to see how the season progresses with these. And I haven't finished doing the double cage project because obviously nothing's gotten high enough to need it yet. So I plan on just doing those as needed. Onions are one of my major gardening challenges in life. I've tried so many times to grow them in California. I've grown them. I always get my starts from Dixondale Farms in Texas, and they grow really well, but mine always start putting out flowers before, like here's one right here. So I just snip them off, but they say once the flowers appear, there's not much bulbing is apparently going to happen, but I'm just trying anyway. I've been finding them all over the place, and a couple of these onions, like this one, there we go. So a couple of these onions have started to bulb a little bit. but none of them are starting to like fall over or anything. And I had the same problem in California. Even worse though, they always would start to flower. I never got onions to flop over and bulb up significantly and then flop over when it was time to harvest. I thought maybe I would be luckier here. Since here it's a different climate, I'm using long day onions instead of intermediate day that I was using in California. I don't know. I got to figure this out. One of these years, I'm going to figure this out. And this is my garlic. I did experimentally pull one of the bigger ones up the other day, which, I don't know, where'd it go? Someone stole my garlic. Oh, it's in the greenhouse. Anyway, it wasn't there yet. It was definitely forming a bulb, but it definitely wasn't big enough. Garlic's one of the things that I don't usually have trouble with. At least I didn't in California. So I knew it was too soon anyway. We have to wait till more of these leaves are brown, and that's typically going to be, from what I understand, July here, or maybe even later. I think I planted these in October. But I'm gonna get garlic either way. Here are my grow bag potatoes. Lots of them are flowering. These ones with white flowers are russet. And these ones with the purple flowers are the red potatoes. And the Yukon Gem ones I have not seen flowering yet. Some potatoes flower and some don't, so it doesn't matter. But if they do flower, they will produce little fruits that look a little bit like cherry tomatoes, but don't eat them. And those are where actual potato seeds come from. And you can supposedly save those seeds and grow potatoes from them, and you'll get a whole new variety than what you started your, when you start with seed potatoes, you get the same variety. It's basically a clone of the original potato. But if you plant from the seeds, you're going to get something new. And so I'm kind of interested to see if I get any fruits on these, especially because I have two varieties flowering at the same time. Maybe they'll cross-pollinate and I'll get some weird cross between russet potatoes and red potatoes. That's going to be a long-term science experiment, though, if I even get anything to save seeds from. And then these are the volunteer potatoes. And we've got one flowering over here. From what I remember last year, my son and I dug this bed up, and I think most of them were yellow potatoes, and there may have been some russets. None of them were very big. So it's going to be basically a surprise what ends up coming out of this bed and that other square bed. And then we have my landscaping cloth project, which I don't believe I've made any progress on since the last time I filmed a video. I hate this project. I hate it. It's exhausting. Digging the dirt from the pile, hauling it over to where I want to put the next row of cloth down, and then somehow the worst part of it is laying out the cloth and putting the staples down. I'm just completely wiped out just doing one row of this. It's really sad. A week or so ago, my husband did help out with his tractor and dug a couple of scoops of soil from the pile and moved them so I didn't have to do the wheelbarrow shoveling part. But because the pile's already kind of low, he wasn't really able to get a whole lot. And there's just like 3 small piles here under this tarp. So I'm kind of giving up hope on planting in this area this year, but at least once I get it done, it should be good to go for next spring. I did, though, yesterday, just as a silly experiment, I had one teeny tiny tomato plant right here. Let's see if it will focus. This is pinned down, so I don't want to move it. That is an opalka tomato, which I started from seed using the winter sowing method. It's been about that size for more than a month, growing in its little tiny pot, until yesterday I was like, I'm just going to stick it in the ground and see what happens. So that's an experiment. So here's the overview for today, June 17th. And then over here on the east side of the greenhouse are some of my remaining, I grew way too many pepper starts and tomato starts. I always do, just because, I never know how many I'm going to want to plant and how many are going to do well. I always have way too many left. And I thought about giving them away, but they're looking kind of sad, especially the tomatoes. Look at these, they're really looking rough. And so I didn't even feel like good about giving them away for someone. I felt like they just weren't likely to succeed. But I have a crazy idea because I have this weird thing where I feel like I don't want to just throw them in the compost pile either. So I'm going to take you along and show you my crazy plan for these extra plants. And this isn't even all of my extra plants. I just had even more around the corner. So, welcome to the pile. This is on the very back edge of our property. This pile came with the house. My husband has been adding to it whatever he wants to get rid of, like such as grass clippings. Initially, we were gonna have a compost pile separate from this, and our grass clippings, and chicken bedding and all of that stuff were gonna go in there. But then I realized that my husband is using weed and feed and all sorts of unknown chemicals and fertilizers on our lawn. So I don't want that stuff going in my garden. So the grass clippings are just going on the pile on that side, looks like. And then the chicken bedding is right here because I didn't really want it that close to the pile. I wanted it down there somewhere, but it is what it is. Until we have some sort of, I want like a 3-bay compost pile set up closer to my garden, ideally maybe in the backside of my garden, but for now, that's where it's going. So my crazy idea for these extra plant starts in this pile, you have probably already figured out. After I just told you about all the toxic grass clippings, I'm going to take these plants and just stick them in the dirt on this side of the pile and just may the odds be ever in their favor. There's no water out here. I think the nearest spigot's like over by those trees. It's a good, I don't know, more than 100 feet away. Maybe, I don't know. There's no water out here. So they're probably just going to die once, summer really dries up. We have 3 days of rain coming starting tomorrow. So that's why I'm just going to stick these in here today, let the rain water them in, and just wait and see what happens. If I get some tomatoes, tomatillos, and peppers out of here, that will just be a fun bonus. But I am not in any way banking on getting something out of this. I think that's good enough for this experiment. We got 2 tomatillos, 2 tomatoes, and 2 peppers. Probably just been condemned to die, but oh well. They're going to die anyway. All right, here are sad sacrificial plants in the pile and 1 lonely jalapeno in the chicken poop. Well, I'm back here. Here's how the wild blackberries are coming along. Lots and lots. You see pine cones. And here is the giant apple tree. I have no idea what variety it is. And it's so big, it's almost impossible to harvest most of them. We definitely got some apples here. I don't think these they turned pink, but I don't think that ended up being until like maybe September or October. babies in the back. Can never get near the chicks because they're still terrorized by that one day when after their mom died and I had to come and round them up and put them in the garage. They don't want anything to do with me anymore. There they are. I'm starting to wonder if Willy Wonka, which is the one that looks dark gray, starting to turn a little brown. That's the chocolate Orpington. Starting to wonder if that might be a rooster. I don't think any of the others are. They are now about 10 weeks old. I was out here working on the fruit trees one day and I heard one of the chickens make the craziest, like, screeching noise. And I almost wondered if it was like one of those beginning practice crows that chickens do when they're first starting out. The only other reason I suspect is because he or she is starting to get a red comb sooner than the others. So I don't know. We'll see. If it is a rooster, that'll be fine. I can actually keep roosters here as long as it's not aggressive and mean. And then fruit tree update. About a week or two ago, I came out here. I think I did a video of putting little bags on some of these, and I have now put a total of 400 little net bags on my, oh look, this one's already got damage even though it's in a bag. 400 of these little bags on 3 pear trees, 3 apple trees. There's 2 Fuji apples, and this is a green apple. Now, wait, this is one of the Fuji apples. This is the Fuji apple. This is the green apple. And while I did this, I also thinned them down to 1 fruit per cluster. So hopefully they'll get nice and big. Here's a pretty good size green apple. And the pears are looking pretty good too. From my research online and asking in Facebook groups, I believe I have 3 Bartlett pear, green Bartlett or yellow Bartlett, whatever it is. These aren't red, even though they start out pink. When I was here last August, these pears were all quiet. These pears were all, they were all yellow. They were not red. So apparently some pears start out a little red and then turn fully yellow or green when they're ready to be picked. So it threw me for a loop when I started seeing these come in kind of reddish. Here we go. Here's this is the second Asian pear. They're a little bigger and healthier looking on this tree. So I did end up thinning the ones on this one and put just a couple of bags. I'm not too worried about protecting all of the pears. And I could only do the ones I could reach from the ground. So there's plenty of apples and things that are not bagged, but I do know I have at least 400 fruits bagged between the several trees. And then I have my peach tree. Here we go. We got some peaches. This tree is really tall, and most of the fruits are up high where I can't just reach them to put little bags on them. Where's that one? There it is. So, but I'm starting to see, I thought there were only a couple, but I'm starting to see lots more hiding here and there throughout the tree. I just wish I could, I don't want to really drag a ladder out here. We'll see if I end up regretting that later. I don't even know if these bags are really going to work. I managed to get 2 bags on, 3 bags on 3 pears, or peaches, that's it. So, look at this. There's already something. What's going on here? What is this? Something, what happened? It bore through the bag? It did. Ah, yeah, there's something sticky. Well, that sucks. But hey, after this year, at least I'll know if it's worth doing or not. It took a long time to bag all these foods. Hey, ladies. How's your water? Still good. And over here at the chicken garden, we have these teeny tiny, this variety is called Spoon. And I don't think the tomatoes are meant to get any bigger than like a small blueberry. So I planted these for chicken snacks. And these are some spindly, sad looking little plants, but it was just for fun. They'll get plenty of extra tomatoes from my real garden too. And in the berry patch, I have lots and lots of blueberries coming in. Especially on a couple of these bushes are more prolific than the others. I know I was picking these after we moved in on July 1st, so I can expect them to be ready at least by then, if not sooner. And some varieties I think are earlier than others. I can tell some are starting to turn blue and some are still very, very green. Like this one. And then we have the out of control berry vines. Some have thorns, some don't. All of them have lots of flowers and small berries starting. Like this one. And again, I have no idea which variety is which except for the raspberries, because those are obvious. But I was also picking some of these in the beginning of July after we moved in, so shouldn't be too long. Here we have some of the grapes, the ones with seeds that I'm still bitter about. My camera phone does not want to focus. Very frustrating. More grapes with seeds. Grapes with seeds. Small grape plant. Don't know what it is. Don't know what any of them are. But the plants seem very healthy and happy. And chickens will get lots of grapes to snack on. I can't even get through here. It's a jungle. And here's a quick walk through the patio area where the green stalks are. I have a new favorite flower for containers. This is called Twister verbena or verbena. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I really like these. They kind of, I like flowers. I'm realizing they just cover the bush and you don't even see much of the green. That's why I like million bells like these. These do that. I'm not crazy about bushes that just make a few flowers, like more perennials. Oh, and then these other petunias that are tall and lanky, these are the ones called balcony mix that I originally started in my arrow garden. And I guess they're just a taller variety than the ones that I put in my green stock over here. Spiral ones. Those are more the mounding kind. And it's starting to look a little spent. It's hard to keep up with deadheading. I try. I kind of wonder what would happen if I just cut it all back, like to just the greens, and would it come back again? Or just dump it out and plant something new in there. I don't know yet. Strawberries are starting to, I've picked several so far. This one might be ready. lots of berries, and I put some bags on these. The bags are starting to annoy me for strawberries especially, so I might just I don't think I'm gonna put them back on unless things start eating them like crazy. Then I might put them back on. And they're also putting out tons of runners, which at first I was snapping them off, but man, then I thought maybe I want to like clip little like pots of soil here so I can let the runners root, and then I'll have more strawberries to plant somewhere else. But I don't really have anywhere prepared to plant anything else right now, so I should trim them off though, so it'll focus more on making berries. And this one is the only one that's all one variety. It's called Sweet Sunrise. And all the berries I've tasted off this so far have like this bitter taste. Um, Almost like a chemically bitter. I thought maybe like somehow the fertilizer was coming through, but none of the other strawberries have that. So I don't know if I just don't like this variety or I need to wait just a little bit longer to pick them, but I haven't been crazy about them. And here's my lettuce tower, which has officially, the lettuce still looks great, but it has gone bitter. So I'm filling in some of these empty spots. I have some random marigolds that I started winter sowing this year. These are the bunching onions, green onions that I've started in my arrow garden in my bathroom. I haven't planted them all out, but I did a few that I had already taken lettuce out of. And I'm thinking about seeding, once I get more lettuce out, seeding one random cucumber plant. And I know that that's not really, this is a leaf planter, which means the pockets here are not as deep as the original. Here, let's see, the pockets are taller. So certain plants do better in the deeper pockets, and I'm pretty sure cucumbers is one of those. But all of my original planters are taken up by strawberries, so I'm not going to put any cucumbers in there. So I might just, throw a couple seeds in here and see if it grows. I have some of the green stalk supports that the cucumber I would train it to kind of wind around. I don't have any cucumbers in my garden at all this year, so I might do it that way. And then my herb tower thyme is really flowering like crazy. The dill is the tall kind of dill. We have lots of chives that need a haircut, parsley, cilantro, all the mints down at the bottom, oregano, sage. I thought I had a rosemary plant in here, and where did it go? Oh, there's more sage. Oh, there it is. Rosemary. That's the only one, I think. So, again, I want to freeze dry a lot of these herbs once my freeze dryer comes back. Look at all these chives. That's crazy. And then there's basil at the top. These I sowed directly from seed. And this was a nursery plant. That's why it's so much further along. All right, that's the tour for today. I have lots of gardening projects that are calling my name, including the landscaping fabric and the chicken fence, which isn't gardening, but I forgot to show you the back garden. I'll show that on another video. That's where Lucas and I planted some pumpkins, melons, and corn, and sunflowers, and some of it has come up, but a lot of it has not. So I'm a little disappointed, but I will have something out there. So I'll make sure I get that on the next video. It's not much to look at right now. Um, and that's it. Today's my last day to garden before the rain comes, so I gotta get something done. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll subscribe. See you later.